Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of the show. I couldn't even sleep last night. I'm not kidding you. The- These conversations, they're the best, brightest spot to my every week. And today I have the honor and the great privilege of visiting with another transformational leader. And we don't use that word lightly. Transformation isn't just moving furniture around across your system, it is truly making it something that it wasn't before, right? And this person, I think, is wearing more hats than a portrait photographer's prop closet. Lots going on. Lots
A
going on.
lot.
Educators, superintendent, former city council member, a photojournalist. I'll let her fill in a few other things that I know, but she's an authentic advocate, absolutely, for rural education. Please welcome Michelle Osterhout, superintendent of Margaretville Central School District. Thanks for joining us on the show, Michelle.
You get an A+ for pronouncing my name right.
That's the only one I've ever received, ever.
No, it's so glad to be here. I love these conversations. This is sort of the one of the other things that fills my bucket is having these types of conversations, allowing me to just be myself. Um, and
Yeah.
I'd love to say that I was always that way, but something happens when you turn like 45 and
Well,
you
we're
just
not
realize
I've
what's
never
important.
asked anybody their age on this show, so
Well, I'm not 45, I'm older, but
okay, well, I'm just gonna yeah, we're not even gonna touch that, I'm just telling you. But we
that's
are in the
fine.
sweet spot of July. I think July should be the month of at least 12 weeks, don't you?
Oh, that would be lovely. So I will tell you, I was looking at my calendar last night. I actually got a new calendar. I had a custom made calendar because even though I'm very tech savvy and I love my phone, I love my calendar, I love my iPad Pro, there's something about writing things down. And I was putting dates in my calendar and I thought, oh my God, I don't have enough time in July because I've got work to do, but I also need to have fun. And I
Yes.
don't, I'm struggling to find fun in July. I had some fun in June, you know that. But it's really important for me to I'm not going to use the word balance, but like to
Yeah.
just make sure that I make time for all those things that I need to do. And it's hard. When I look at July, it's a little bit ominous to me because there's just not enough time and I have a lot to do, but I
Yeah,
have to
we're
push
right in
through.
between. I mean, not even a distant memory of graduation. But then just all the planning and preparation for your back to school stuff. And that has to be on point because of your respect and care for the most important people within the
Yeah,
system, being equipped to let's get after it again. I do hope that you found a little bit of time or are finding a little bit of time to everything, rejuvenate,
yeah.
recreate all of those things that our system leaders are needing because it was a tough year. And
It was a very tough year.
I don't know that it's gonna get less rocky moving forward.
Right. It's not. Um, there's just so many changes politically. There's just so many things going on, and I'm not saying I'm one side or the other, right? Because I represent everybody as a district leader. But there are things that are going to be challenges. And this year, for us in particular, we had some personnel issues. We've had some things that really affect the culture of our school. Um, and so that's concerning. But so here's the thing that I'm looking most forward to. So I'm going to be a fourth year superintendent. This will be the first year that I'll start the new school year with the same principal since I've been a superintendent.
Oh my goodness.
And she's phenomenal. She's
Yes.
been here for a long time. She was doing the job behind the scenes for a long time, and then she finally felt comfortable to be in that role. I'd asked her before, and she wasn't ready. So I share that because for me as a district leader, how hard it is to do my job when I don't have people right in the right spot to do the work.
Mm.
It's been very challenging for me. So I
Well, even
I
though
see some hope there.
yeah, even though this is year 4, I'm going to give you officially, and we're gonna have to certify this somehow, this is year 0 for you. I mean, when you think about it,
Yeah.
okay, because it's like people first and then everything else. So you finally got your team established, and I think
I'm so excited.
80%, I don't think, I know, I've done the research, 80% of your most important work happens in the team dynamic, and when that isn't stable, that means that most of your important work is either done in isolation by the leader, which, that
That's
that
not good.
used to kinda work, but that doesn't work as effectively
No.
anymore. So I'm really, really excited about what is moving forward,
Yeah.
in this academic year ahead.
All the
Congrats.
challenges that we face as a district all led us to this spot. So I don't look at anything as a regret or a mistake or, you know, and I actually think some of those challenges we had to go through in order for people to sort of realize their role in the district. So it's exciting. But coming off of a difficult year, my main goal, believe it or not, this summer, I think you won't find this hard to believe, is to really just enjoy the summer, get
Mhm.
some purposeful work done, but you heard it first. Enjoy the summer. Like this is the only time where we have I want to say it's busy because we're preparing for a whole school year. So there's lots of things that we have to do, but it is more laid back. Right? It's more laid back. It's summer. There's not as many people in the building. It's kind of quiet. You can find some quiet space to just sort of get roll up your sleeves and get some work done. So I look forward to summer for that. Even though I am, a little nervous that July isn't 12 weeks like we'd love it to be, but I'm looking at the new year with I'm re-energized with
Yeah.
so all those things, right?
Yes, yes.
Re-energized, refocused on what we can build now that we have our team in place. And you said that team, right? How important that is. That's my favorite thing to do in this role is to create teams and to
Mhm.
create, like put people in like helping people realize what they can do and how they can make me look good because this is not about Michelle Osterhout. This is about the organization and the people
Man.
that do wonderful work. I oversee it, but it's certainly not about me. This doesn't work if there's just me. It only
Yeah,
works
the
if
only
everyone's
thing the only thing is about you is you're just accountable for it all. That's the only thing. Let's
yes.
just get real.
And when
Let's
it's good, maybe I get some credit, but when it's bad, I definitely get the credit.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
you're gonna point at me when things
Yeah.
aren't quite at standard. Every guest that I have on, they're human interest stories. I think humans are they're fascinating, and everybody has a fascinating story. So we had a chance before we hopped on live here. Uh, Oneonta.
Miata.
Yes. Give us a sense, help us to understand what that is from just the native tradition and how that background and those experiences have, created kind of those impact qualities that have landed you in in a rural district doing
Mm.
amazing things for students and closing gaps that most people probably couldn't touch. Go back to that place and why is that important?
So it's important because so I grew up in Oneonta. Most of my school life was in Oneonta. It's a small city school district. Great experiences there. It was hard for me as a kid. We didn't have much growing up, so it was hard for me to fit in. But I always had a person or a teacher, or I wanted to aspire to do well. Um, but how it really shaped me was my first teaching job was not in Oneonta, but I ended up in Oneonta, my hometown and I worked with dynamic educators who loved their jobs, who loved kids and really enjoyed going to work every day. We were just, when I think about teaching, I think about my colleagues, I think about the team. I worked in a middle school most of that time and we had a team, it was a team approach. We were on teams in the middle school and we met regularly and we talked about kids. And so that helped shape me. But even growing up, my experiences in school were positive experiences. The reason why I'm a teacher is because of my fifth grade teacher at Center Street School in Oneonta
Hmm.
who made me feel welcome. So, true story, Dr. Joe. My fifth grade teacher is 102. She lives around the corner from me and she's still alive. And she knows who I am because she's followed my path. So, and that's what we do as educators. We follow our students. They're our students for lives. And so she knows what I'm doing. And so I've always modeled how I approach my relationships with my administrators, my teachers, my students. Like I care about where they are and what they're doing. I mean, I still connect with students from my first year of teaching. I have students that I still talk to from my first year of teaching,
Yeah,
and I've
yeah.
been doing this for 26 years. So that's a long time ago.
I don't always do this, but I wanna honor the name. I wanna honor the name, the teacher. that was significant in your life, who's 102 years old, who's still
Mrs. Maddie Clune.
grabbing mail from the mailbox around the corner, the name, speak the name.
Mrs. Maddie Clune.
Oh,
Maddie Clune.
we honor,
Um,
we honor.
yeah, she's I was so the last time I saw her was in the fall. I was walking my dog and she was out on the porch. I was with my daughter and she invited us up on the porch and our dog was a puppy. It's my granddaughter, this puppy. And she invited us in her house and we sat and we talked for a while and I remember my daughter just being so like, "Wow, was your teacher from 5th grade who still remembers you, who's talking about how she follows you." Like she knew I was a council member in my town. She knew I was at the time I was the president of the NAACP. Like she knew. She knew all of those things at 102 years old, right? I sometimes am not of the right frame of mind to remember things at 52 and at 102, right?
You're just getting
So
started. Just
I'm
getting started.
I guess
That's
so.
amazing. That's
But
amazing.
yeah, so amazing human being.
Yeah.
Amazing human being.
Ah, thanks for sharing that. Really. So middle school, I think those were the most delightful moments for me. I served as a middle school principal for 5 years, and I left crying because I had to then go to the high school. I'm like, I don't want to go to high school. I just loved all the interdisciplinary everything and just
Yeah.
so from going from the classroom to the superintendent's office, what were you thinking?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, so I was an assistant principal. I did that for a year. And after I did that, my superintendent came to me and he said, "You know what? We have someone retiring in elementary school. I'd love for you to do that." And then I went to an elementary school and I love that. That was like probably I love this job for different reasons, but being an elementary principal is the cat's meow. Let me just
Mm,
tell you right now, because the energy of the kids, they love you, they want to please you, and the teachers. I'm not saying that teachers across the board don't love kids, but there's definitely more hands-on, more
yeah,
mommying, I
yeah,
would say, in elementary school. So it's a very special place, being an elementary principal, and I loved it. But I also had this urge to lead, to change systems, to build teams, and so when this job came up and I found it on accident through LinkedIn, I was just looking one day and I reached out to the firm and they're like, "We should hop on a call." And we
yeah.
hopped on a call and
Nothing by
within
accident, just so you know, for
well,
all
yeah,
of our
right, right.
listeners.
I hopped
No.
on a call with the search firm and they were like, "You should apply. We think you'd be a fit." Like that was within 10 minutes of a conversation. And the rest is just history. And it's been a wonderful fit. My board is wonderful. My team is wonderful. My
Yeah,
assistant's wonderful. There's challenges here. I'm high energy and I'm happy and I love being around kids and people. And so I've talked about this before. Like the climate, I can change climate, but there's a culture here that's been embedded for many years in a small district that's hard to change because
yeah.
people are a little stuck in their ways. And I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just when you want to make change or do things, change can be difficult. So,
Mm.
there's struggles with it, but what I love about I'm centrally located in the school. So this is my office. It's the original office built in 1939. You can tell by the walls, right?
I was gonna say
Uh,
that darker wood paneling, that's
yeah,
maybe modern again, who knows?
yeah. But I'm central, so I can open up my door, and it's like center of the school. So when I open up my door, it invites people in, and people come in, and they'll say hi. Or when I'm having a bad day, I just walk down to the elementary wing, or I walk upstairs.
Yeah,
It's just lovely. It's lovely.
yeah. Well, if there's anybody that can take, existing culture, like you said, that mm, there's some heritage there, some things that, yeah, we need to keep, but there might be some things that we need to edit out. Like it was good at one time, but just like
Yeah,
everything in life, life flows like a river. I live right on a river here, and
yeah,
it's new water every single day, and systems need to be like that
yeah.
as well. So
Things change, things
how are
update.
you going about? You've got 330 some students in your district, small, rural, beautiful, like student to teacher ratio. But how do you leverage that intimate school environment to really shape the types of changes that you're looking to create for the betterment of closing those gaps that you're looking at?
Yeah, so it takes time. Here's what I've discovered. It doesn't happen overnight, and it's really the best way to do it. So it's a small school environment, so people would say, "Oh, that must be easy." Not necessarily, because you have to build trust. And then along the way, right, as a leader, there are decisions that we have to make that people don't always understand, and I've written about this. So trying to build trust, but at the same time, also holding people accountable, right? So we've had some personnel changes, we've had some really hard transitions in our district. Teachers
Mm,
have left or
mhm,
teachers have you know, just it hasn't worked out, they weren't a fit. And those things are sometimes hard for the community, the school community to understand because they don't have all the information, right? So one of the things that's the most challenging for me as a leader is I have to make difficult decisions that people don't always understand or like. And part of that is because they don't have all the information. Why? Because I can't share all the information. So when you ask, how do you start to change culture and climate? It's hard if you have a series of events that are traumatic events to people because maybe a staff member is no longer here or a student does something crazy and you're dealing with a crisis. We've had our share of crises here. And so trying to balance that with also trying to get people to trust you and trust the things that you want to do to help improve the district, right? That takes time. So I'll be starting my 4th year and I'm finally starting to feel like maybe people are like, "Okay, I trust you." I sat down with a veteran teacher a few months ago. We were going over some curriculum and we were going through a difficult time because there was another teacher out on leave and I know everybody's sort of feeling it, right? They're out on an administrative paid leave. So there's an investigation. I can't talk about it. That's hard, right? And that's to protect the teacher. We don't know what's going to come of it.
right,
So
right.
when I tell you that, it's not, and this is something I could share publicly, right? Like when someone's on unpaid administrative leave and there's an investigation, that's to protect not only the school, but that's to protect the person, right? Until we can figure out what's going on. And that's hard for people because they don't have all the information. But this is a veteran teacher, and we're sitting in my office, and she goes, "Well, this is all very difficult, but I trust you." That was the first time I actually felt like, "Oh my gosh, I'm making some headway here. I'm making some leeway because I know that people don't like the decisions I make because they don't understand why I make them. But for
Mm,
someone who's a veteran who has been here for a while and is used to the way things are, to say, I trust you, that meant a lot to me. So it meant, okay, I'm on the right path. It's going to take time because I am very high energy, like you said, and I like to get things done now. You have to learn when you're in this seat. Things take time. Change
yeah,
takes time. Trust
and
takes time.
it takes conflict also. I mean, if you just break it
Yes.
apart, we could spend 2 hours talking about how to build effective trust and how the struggle is essential in
Yes.
building that in a genuine way. Very few people, except maybe small children, might just, like, have just true straight up trust of it. The rest of us have
Yes.
stuff that, just playing in our heads all the time of our own experiences and biases and worldviews and all of those things. And I know that you've written on that as well as somebody who, has been a victim of hate and discrimination and including being called some names that we're
Mhm.
not going to repeat. And you said that these experiences, I think, really contributed to the feelings of insecurity, but also your
Yeah.
strength as a leader, Michelle. So, how do you transform just when a teacher is like going through the process of trying to figure out if I trust you or not,
Yeah.
being able to take all that you've learned from your own struggles and challenges in building your character and just maturing who you are today. How do you become that model to say,
Y-
you can trust me, right?
Yeah. I think it's being completely so I'm as transparent as I can be, right? When it comes to work stuff, I can't always be transparent. But
Yeah.
when it comes to myself and sharing my story, wasn't always comfortable doing that. I'm very comfortable now. So anything that I can do to help people feel more comfortable in their own skin or with change or, by sharing my experiences. I've had some experiences where I felt like I didn't belong.
Hmm.
I wasn't a fit. I knew I wasn't eventually. I've had experiences where I wasn't treated well. I've had experiences that I just share them so that people know that I understand where they're coming from. I'm not a holier than thou type person. I don't think that I'm better than anybody. I love people. I love connecting with people through stories, through just sharing and learning about people. Like that really is who I am. I hope that if anything, I leave with people that I'm not fake and I don't put on airs. So just by being completely honest. And I also have to tell you, when I screw up, I own up to it. Um, I don't have a problem with that because that's how we learn and grow. Um, I'll give you a little sneak preview. I don't think
Of
I
where you're gonna mess up next? Oh, that's next level.
next level. No, well, my next article, I don't think I've printed it yet. Some of my articles come out like they're scheduled, right? But I have lots of articles already written. You know, I love to write. I write on several platforms. But my next article is about getting a developing on your evaluation. And that's taboo. Most teachers don't know what it's like to get a developing. Most districts that I've been exposed to, worked with, heard of, talked with, it's very rare that a teacher gets a developing mark on their evaluation. Now, mind you, you can get a developing in one area and still be a good
Right.
teacher and still, but I got a couple developings I know on my evaluation this year. And I had a friend actually call me a couple weeks ago in like tears because she got a it wasn't even a developing. It was maybe like good or I don't remember what the categories were, but she was upset that they weren't all exceptional. And I thought, how could you be exceptional? You mean to tell me that you don't see any way that you need to improve? And I got a developing. And so last year we created a 5-year facilities plan, something this district hasn't had. They've never had a facilities plan. That sounds crazy, right? So we created a facilities plan. Actually, this year it was just approved a few board meetings ago. So under facilities, it's my score is developing. My board scored themselves as developing because we finally have a plan, but we haven't dove into the plan. We haven't, been working with the plan.
Right.
So we have a developing. That's what it should be.
That's
How can I be exceptional?
functionally just what it is. It's and the next step in
Yes.
the next
So
3
it's
months will be
progress. It's
this.
progress, but it's developing. So when I told my friend, so my friend called me up because she didn't get a perfect score, and I'm like, "You're crazy. I don't know what's going on with you." And that's not what I said, but that's what I was thinking. I'm like, "Your evaluation was so good, but because you know." Here's the other thing, Joe. To get to our positions, right? When you're in our positions as leaders, sure, some of us have faced some rejection along the way, but there are many of us who haven't. There are many of us who've maybe applied for actually most job I think every educational job except for one that I've applied to, I've gotten up to this point. So most of us haven't had a lot of rejection, right?
Right.
I talked to my colleagues, they haven't. So that was just a hard pill for her to swallow that her evaluation wasn't perfect. I'm assuming she was a teacher. She'd always got a perfect evaluations or really good evaluations, never a developing. So when I called her up to tell her that I got a developing, she was devastated for me. And I explained it to her how I explained it to you. And she goes, "Oh, I guess I could see that." I'm like, You should. You should see that. I'm always wanting to grow as a person, whether it's in my faith in God or in my, how I show my children how they should live not how they should live their lives. I don't want to tell them how they should live their lives, but how to live with integrity.
Right.
And then with this job, like we're always reflecting, we're always improving. So, if you can look at it that way, it just helps. And I have no regrets. No
Mm.
regrets.
You're such a model. I mean, you're just such a model for a life that values continuous improvement in all things. For
Thank you
somebody
for
who is
that.
willing to step in the ring and go, I got my dukes up and I need to fight for the right things, but I'm also here to listen to anything that you believe I might not be doing real well because I'm all about continuous improvement. I
Yeah.
mean, that takes a real mature person. Not all adults have gotten to that point yet because we're just so covered with self-preservation. That's
It
just
also takes fit.
it
If
does.
you're in a district or you're in a job or you're in a relationship where you really value each other and you really are able to have tough conversations, then you'll be open to hearing that feedback. I do that with my sister all the time too, because we're both going through what we call like our live your best life crisis, not midlife crisis. It's live your best life crisis. So there are things we're willing to accept and not willing to accept. And we're both willing to accept reflection and feedback from others. And so I practice that in all aspects of my life, but it's just so important to be able to just grow. I mean, that's
Yeah.
what we're doing, and to real education is fluid. We're changing all the time. Our needs are changing. The government is changing what they're going to, help us with. So we have to be fluid and we have to be able to adapt and reflect on, okay, this was serving us well. It's not anymore. What are we going to do to make it work? So
Yeah, I don't smell victimhood at all in anything that you're resonating right now, and I wish we had a little bit more time, but I wanna just thank you for just showing us what effective leadership looks like, what real human, leadership looks like in the office of the superintendent. You're a real live person. You serve the role of the superintendent, and oftentimes those two things just need to be differentiated from each other.
Yeah.
And you've shown us that it can be, and you've shown us what knowing your community deeply looks like as well, and leading with courage, what that looks like, and never forgetting where you came from, what that looks like. So we've covered a lot here. I don't know. We're going to come in for a landing, but any final thoughts before we go?
No, thanks for the opportunity. Any opportunity that I can get to talk about being real, keeping it real, and having a fit, that's so important, and just live each day to its fullest, and just keep it real. Our
Yeah.
stories are so important, and they really help us lead.
Well, this has been the show reminding you that everyone deserves to be served by really healthy people like this amazing human right here, building reliable systems for the very core mission that you're serving. So incredible small district, but great strengths. I love highlighting how different leaders are just showing up exceptionally well for their communities. So until next